Welcome to the Impact Multiplier CEO podcast. If you're a chief executive, or if you think like one, and you want to create exponentially greater impact, then this show is for you. My name is Richard Medcalf, founder of Xquadrant. I coach some of the most successful and impressive CEOs and executive teams on the planet and help them achieve extraordinary results. And no matter how successful you've been in the past, there's always a whole new level of impact available to you. So, if you're ready to play a bigger game than ever before, I invite you to join us and become an Impact Multiplier CEO. Today I speak with Abhishek Rungta. Abhishek is the founder and the CEO of Indus Technologies, which is a 700-person strong company. It provides digital strategy consulting and offshore outsourcing to digital agencies, enterprises, and governments. And in a conversation today, I really dig into Abhishek's Success Formula. What is it that helped him create this large organization from zero? What were the strengths, and also what held him back? And how did he create the commitment and engagement that he needed to create this service-orientated business at scale? And then we also look to the future and understand what might he need to do to take his impact to another level. So I hope as you listen into this that you'll pick up some ideas for yourself and see as well perhaps how your success formula is evolving to allow you to go to even greater heights. So sit back and enjoy this conversation with Abhishek Rungta. Hi, Abhishek.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, great to see you today. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine.
Well, hey, let's jump straight in. As you know, today we're going to dive into your success formula and find out what your personal strategy is as a very accomplished CEO for creating impact. But before we do that, why don't you give us a quick summary of just a minute or so of who you are, what your company is and what it does, and perhaps just a little bit about your journey, right, as you've done a number of things to get into that CEO role as you are now.
Sure. So I'm a bootstrapped entrepreneur for the last 23 years. I have built multiple companies. And obviously, I have a flagship company which I have built and run throughout. I have kind of believed that the journey is far more important than the end destination, and that has been my driving formula throughout building these businesses. And I keep experimenting, I keep exploring, and that's why I consider myself more as an explorer than a CEO. And at one point of time, I was quite active in climbing mountains. But once I got addicted to digital, I think digital took over me. And I'm kind of left behind climbing mountains for quite some time, and I'm trying to get back to that slowly now. But yes, overall, building businesses, especially digital businesses, because internet is something which fascinated me on day one, and it still fascinates me. And I think I have no regret because this has given me everything that I wanted from my career.
Excellent. So just tell us with your current business, tell us about IndusNet.
So IndusNet is basically a software product engineering company where we build software products for banks, insurance companies, and pharmaceutical industry. And we have also created a constellation of companies which we have acquired or done strategic investment in or created joint ventures, which allows us to do a lot of other interesting thing in digital, which can be as diverse as digital marketing, or doing building energy analytics in commercial buildings, and so on and so forth.
Amazing. So you've got this, as you said, you've founded multiple companies, you built them, you've acquired others, you've partnered with others to create this constellation. I know IndusNet has 700 or more people. You're growing in double-digit figures. So there's a lot of great stuff happening. What would be the one or two or three key factors that have driven your impact to date? If you could bottle your success sauce, right? What would be inside? What would be the ingredients?
So I think the number one ingredient would be my deep interest in building quality leadership, because I think leadership is beyond business. It is about building your own culture and living that culture and ensuring that that culture makes an impact, not only on just people around you, but people who are connected to other people. And therefore, you can create multiple levels of impact. So I have always believed that, if you really want to build a good business, you need to build good leadership. And good leadership is all about working closely, coaching people, helping them understand why you feel certain way, and also help them discover that what is their core feeling, and then helping them also discover that how they can align people to their overall thought process. So it has been a very interesting journey, because I feel that even beyond what I am doing, I think these leaders will go ahead and do amazing stuff in years to come, and that will be the most fulfilling thing for me. The next area that I think which has helped me build this impact has been creating strong partnerships. And when I talk about creating strong partnerships, I always have believed that in a partnership, you should put more on the other side of the table. A lot of time people try to do a partnership where they want to win all. I don't think it should be win all. And I really believe that the other person should win a little bit more than what you are winning.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. I do agree, but it's interesting. A lot of strategic leaders, talk a lot about win-win, right? But actually, they want to win a bit more than you, right? And
so
of course, that means it feels like a lose. But I love the way that you're saying, really make it clear that the other person is getting a big win, and then you can ride on that, and you get the benefit.
Works beautifully, because I feel that creates a lot of confidence, that creates good leadership, and it sets a good practice overall. And the other person also learns to do the same thing with people he deals with, and I think that overall builds a great ecosystem. So and also in the partnership, we have believed in partnership to a level where our 80% business comes from outside India, and we don't have a single employee outside India. Because everything is through partnerships, and beautiful partnerships which has lasted 15 years, 18 years, and gone through the test of time, gone through ups and downs, right, where we have backed our partner have backed us. So I think somewhere I feel that creating great partnerships has been central to what I have achieved in these many years. And last but not the least, I think you have to stay ahead of the rest in marketing. This means you have to stay ahead of everyone else in product innovation. You have to stay ahead of everyone in terms of understanding your customer needs and wants and challenges and problems. Because at the end of the day, that is what I equate to marketing. I'm not equating marketing to advertising or putting beautiful ads on Google or Facebook, but kind of getting deeper into your customer psyche and their problem statement. And we have done that consistently. I'm fortunate to be in company of great marketers at different points of times, who have let me see what real marketing is all about. And I have applied that decently well in my organization, which has helped us get where we are.
Yeah, I love it. Marketing is really that intersection of product innovation and customer needs, rather than all the fluffy, gimmicks that we can sometimes think about when it comes to marketing. So I love that. Quality leadership, strong partnerships, and then staying ahead in marketing in that really tight definition that you've just given me. These are great. There might be some people listening who are like, yeah, this sounds like more, management theory. Can you give an example? So, around one of these, is there a story that perhaps comes to mind, just to show an example of how, when you apply some of these, you can really create some interesting results?
I think there are many, but I'll give you an example. So long time back, we were competing with a company in Kolkata in Eastern India. We were competing with a company in digital marketing. So we were both of us were number one and number two throughout the years, right? And it was kind of a rivalry where our team will win or their team will win most of the deals. And what we did as one point of time, when we found that that company is not doing great, I reached out to their founder CEO, and I said that, I would love to work with you, and why don't you join us? And we will create the largest digital marketing company in Eastern India. And we created a partnership where we gave them due respect. We let them own 50% of the company. We injected much more money than that whole company was worth at that point of time. We injected that money into the company. And we also gave them our portfolio of business to them. And we said, you will run the entire digital marketing portfolio of IndusNet as well as your own company. And let's grow this business together. So I think, see, this is something which is a great deal for someone. And then I continue to mentor them. I continue to sit on their boat, and I keep helping them kind of navigate the difficult terrain of building a bootstrapped business. I also kind of provided them with the software that helps us run IndusNet, which is a very big USP because it helps us keep the whole company on track, our own, what we call is our own internal ERP. And all this was all this was given for no extra cost. And we were not trying to overemphasize that, we own the company and things like that. And I think this kind of built a very strong partnership. Otherwise, lots of acquisitions and joint ventures fail. Whereas this particular, some people call it acquisition, I call it partnership. But in my understanding, this partnership has worked extremely well. And we have done things which were not even conceived at that point of time, that we can achieve those things together.
Thank you. I love it. Really, you put your money where your mouth was, right, to make these partnerships happen, and they've really paid off. Absolutely. So thank you for that. Let's go to the other side, right? The dark side. So the dark side is, we're all human, right? And we have strengths that allow us to succeed and help us to drive forward. But sometimes those strengths have a bit of a flip side, right? A dark side that, it's something that actually ends up holding us back in some ways, or kind of causes us to stumble or make mistakes. What would that be for you? What would be the dark side of your gifts as a leader?
I think my learning has been extremely slow, extremely slow. I took almost like 20 years to get where I am. Whereas a company of this size and the accomplishments that this company has done, in my opinion, and my humble opinion, this can be done in half the time or a little bit more than that. I think I have been a little complacent in learning quickly and doing my course and doing course correction. So, I can call that I was lazy maybe at times, or maybe a little slow in learning and applying those learnings into my business back.
Right. It's interesting, right? One of the impact multipliers that I talk about is around accelerating learning, which is often around accelerating your organization's learning, but it also applies to us, right? It's like, how fast can we learn? I often ask my clients, are we learning faster than the market? Are we learning faster than the rate of technological change, right? Are we learning faster than our competitors? And that's a high bar, right? Because these days it's crazy. There's so much, we can be.
That's true.
And I think, as we mentioned earlier on in previous discussion, it's often our own thinking that gets in the way of our success.
Another challenge that Richard, I think where I have stumbled is that I have not taken really big bets. So, I have taken decent sized bets. So I would bet, let's say 10 or 15% of my company on a new initiative or something new that I'm doing. But I have never done something where I have bet my 100% of the company on something and tried to really go after it full-fledged. Right. So I think that is another reason why I think the growth has been comparatively slower. But yes, it has given me a very steady company. And one thing that we achieved by this is that we have always done more business than the previous year. And we have made more profits than the previous year through my entire history of the business. Right. But of course, the growth has been extremely slow. So I have kind of played a little bit on the safe side, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We hear the stories of people who bet the whole company and it pays off. The thing is, there's also people who bet the company and it didn't pay off, and that's why we don't hear about them. So at least you're here, right? All these years later to tell the story.
That's true.
Hello, it's Richard here with a quick interlude. These conversations are all about upgrading how you think about creating impact. So here's a resource to help you do just that whilst staying fast and focused. The CEO's Checklist for Challenging Times is a quick way to enhance your thinking and detect blind spots, even when things are moving incredibly fast and you're not sure what's going to happen next. You can get this powerful checklist of 17 world-class strategies by heading to xquadrant.com/go/challenging times checklist with a hyphen between each of those three last words. Now, back to the conversation. So let's jump in. We were going to talk about, these impact multipliers. And I think I mentioned to you, I talk about 5 often. I talk about eliminating noise, which is really about staying focused, releasing commitment, which is about it creating ownership around us, accelerating learning, I talked about, addressing friction and drama, which are often things that hold organizations back, and then mastering transformation, which is about the habits that we know how to build in our organization and in ourselves. It'd be good to dive into you on one of these. Let's say talk about releasing commitment, because I hear in your story you're about partnerships, right? You're about leadership. You're about creating this sustainable people business, right? And I'd love to understand, how do you create commitment and ownership, right? How have you been able to do that across these multiple businesses, these multiple brands, and these multiple partnerships?
I think so. The first thing that comes to my mind when we have to create a commitment and ownership among people is that, first of all, you have to be present for them. A lot of times, we just want them to do certain things for us, but we ourselves may not be present. I have always been present for my people. I have always believed in them. Even doesn't matter what qualification they come with, what experience they come with. So the biggest thing that you have to do is you have to believe in them. So you have to be for them, you have to believe in them. So when I say you have to believe in them, is that they may have 10 different shortcomings, but we cannot say that since you have this shortcoming, you cannot do this job. I think we have to motivate them, not only just motivate them, but also guide them, because people will have shortcomings. There is no person who is perfect. And it's our job to ensure that we understand that person's strengths and weakness and kind of motivate him to get rid of those weaknesses and let him leverage his strengths. So I think that's the job of a leader, to create new leaders by doing this exercise. We may not be able to eliminate all their weaknesses, but we can make them aware of it. If we can make them aware of it, they can at least be self-aware about who they are and how they should approach a particular problem and where they can fail, so that they can further leverage other people in their team. And they also learn to respect other people, because they know that they don't know everything. They are not perfect. So there are other people who might be better in things which they are not good at. So I think it's a complete culture that you have to build, which is around vulnerability, which is about self-actualization and realization about what you are, what you can do, what you cannot do. And then also believing in your other person, in your team, and say that, you can do it, and this is how you do it. So I think it's a very personal thing. And once you can build this, and if a person enjoys this whole experience, I feel that he passes it on to the next person in his team. Most of good people will definitely pass on the experience to the next person because it's enjoyable.
Yeah, this is challenging for people, right? Because sometimes it can be easy to get frustrated with people in your team and not to encourage them and believe in them, right? So I love the way that you're bringing this up, right? It creates a chain reaction of positivity. Let me ask you though, what happens when people don't seem motivated, when they don't seem engaged, when you feel they're not doing their best? What do you do then?
So it does happen. So I think it is important that I speak to them, and let them know that this is going wrong, and I should not take a lot of time in doing so. Because what happens is that if you hold back a difficult feedback for a long period of time, right, that feedback compounds, and then the person doesn't see a reason behind it. Because if any kind of a feeling is held back for a very long period of time and is not communicated in a proper way, in a nice way, in a constructive way, what happens is that it compounds inside your mind. And when you speak out about it, you actually speak more than what is required. And the other person does not relate to it, because for him, it has compounded in the reverse manner. For him, it has actually continually divided down, because he now doesn't even remember what mistake he did, what wrong he did. So I think it's very important. How do you time a feedback? So I think it's important to give feedback, and a consistent feedback. So in fact, I had situations where I had to let people go, but I had always given great feedback to them, which has helped them. And they're still in touch with me, and they still appreciate the way I have worked with them through their career in my company. So I think that is far more satisfying to me than anything else. That people whom I had to let go, they still relate back to me, and they still can say, I enjoyed working with you.
Wow, I love it. I can hear that people side of you very, very strongly in pretty much everything you've said in this conversation. So I think that is definitely a lot of your secret sauce, right? It's that care for people. Let's get into the future. Let's get into the future a little bit, because as you know, one of my beliefs is that no matter how much we've achieved up till now, there's always a next level for us to get to. And so I'm curious, Abhishek, what's your next level? How would you love to multiply your impact in the
Sure.
coming months or the coming years?
So, again, I totally am aligned with your thought process. So, as a company, we have a culture of no entitlements. This means we don't care about what we have achieved till date. Obviously, we celebrate it, but then it's just behind us after the celebration. So, we have to look at reestablishing our credential and reestablishing our value every day as a business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I had to bring in because in our segment, we lead in our geography. And if we don't bring in this culture, then our people can get complacent very easily.
Mm.
And about people, I think I myself can get complacent very easily. So we have kind of created this culture of no entitlement. That is the base of the business. Now, coming to your precise question, I think for us to grow rapidly from where we stand right now is to build a company which is going more aggressive on partnerships. How can we do partnerships and joint ventures at scale? Because we have figured out a model to run the business, a service, IT service business very nicely. We know how it works. We have got great client base. We have got great delivery mechanism. We have got technology to track everything in terms of profitability, in terms of utilization, in terms of project governance. Everything is tracked now. So we have got great technology in place. I think what we now need is to basically scale, but scale with entrepreneurs rather than just employees. So obviously we love and respect our employees, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that we create a company of entrepreneurs, which happens with joint ventures, it happens with more partnerships. Now we have done some of them, but how do you do it at scale? And how do you create a mechanism by which anyone who comes into the realm of this, this conglomerate, they automatically learn how to run business the IndusNet way.
Right.
So just to give you a background, Richard, I come from a place which is I would say the cultural capital of East, right? It is Kolkata. Now the point is, it's being a cultural capital, but it is lagging behind in terms of entrepreneurial capital to a great extent. At one point of time, it was great in entrepreneurship. It was one of the top leading cities in the Eastern world, but today it lags behind. So somewhere in my heart, there is a goal that if I have to uplift the ecosystem in this part of the country, you have to create that mechanism by which companies can come, copy your model, learn, and continue to grow. So if I can create that impact, which is just not only about my own company, but beyond my company, I would be really happy.
And this is what I love, right? This is what I see in you. You talked about these rippling effects, right, of leaders who impact leaders, or systems who impact systems. And I hear that in you, that you've built this business up, it's stable, it's growing, it's profitable. And there's this opportunity to scale through partners. But as you do that, to actually perhaps up level the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem in the East, right? As you said, and create like a societal impact, right? So we have these different levels of impact, as we said, ourself, our family, our team, our organization, our industry, our geography, the world, these different levels. And I can just hear that there's an opportunity there for you to do that. That's very exciting.
I think so. Yeah.
What are you going to need to do differently? How's that success formula going to need to change for you to get to that next level?
I think I need to focus a lot more on processes, on coaching. So obviously, I'm still putting almost half my time, or in fact, a little bit more than half my time in operational matters. So for me, it will be an interesting challenge to come out of operations and to kind of bring in new people into operations and kind of take a little bit of backseat and say, okay, I want to now create more partnerships. I want to focus on creating the system of building companies rather than actually operate in my company. So I think it's, again, a challenge is that, every entrepreneur has got that extraordinary attachment with his own business, the first business that he built. And for me, the challenge would be to come out of that absolute attachment that I have got here and kind of take a little bit of backseat and tell my team to run it while I create and focus on a system which can create more companies. So I think that is, again, as I said, this is a personal constraint. I don't see anything as a systematic constraint or as a as a business constraint. I think it's a personal constraint. I think all the constraints are personal, as you rightly said when we were discussing just before this call. And I think this is a big personal constraint for me.
Yeah, I always say, there's no business transformation without team transformation, and there's no team transformation without personal transformation, right? It always starts with us. So thank you very much. I think we're probably done on time, but this has been a fascinating discussion. So thank you, Abhishek. If people want to find out more about you and about IndusNet, how can they best get in touch?
Sure, Richard. So I am quite available on Twitter. So my Twitter handle is twitter.com/Abhishek Rungta, my full name. I am also available on LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/in/Abhishek Rungta, again, my full name. Or they can reach to my company's website, which is indusnet.co.in.
Got it, indusnet.co.in. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. It's been a great discussion, and I hope for everybody listening, you've really been able to benefit here from, I think, these really fascinating insights from Abhishek, especially around really that importance of being a people person, and how that's helped you build this fantastic set of businesses, with plenty more to come. So thanks once again, and goodbye.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Now let's talk about you. When you're in top leadership, when you're in the biggest role of your career, who supports you at a deep level as you lead others? Who helps you multiply your impact and get to the next level? If you're ready to learn more about our content, our coaching, and our community, then visit us at xquadrant.com.